Hello, and welcome to our show for the love of animals. I'm Greg Bauer. My normal co-host, Darlene Pigford, is not with us today. She's a little under the weather. And our two little friends, Angie and Wicket, are not with us today. They decided it was a better day just to sleep in this afternoon, so I'm here by myself. I want to tell the viewers about a couple of upcoming shows. We want to do one with acupuncture with animals, which is a very interesting topic, and we know about acupuncture for humans. But we don't know about it for animals. And we also want to do another show on the care of your horse. You have a horse at home. What are the special things that you need to know about in order to help care for that horse? But those are upcoming. But for today, we've got a absolutely fascinating show. This is something that Darlene and I saw the information about using horses as therapy animals. We said, uh-oh, that has got to be a show topic, and we're very, very fortunate today to have with us Joy Winebarger, who's the executive director and also an instructor for an organization known as H.O.R.S.E. And Joy, we're so glad to have you with us today and looking forward to information. But you know the first question I'm going to ask you, that's an acronym. What does that stand for?
H.O.R.S.E stands for Helping Others Reach Success Using Equine Services.
So obvious. I never put it together like that. That is neat. But when I saw that, because I noticed, as we'll see later on the website and everything, all lowercase, but I could not figure out what that meant. That was extremely clever.
Thank you.
Anyway, we're real happy to have you with us today, and we're going to give our viewers an awful lot of great information. So let's get started. How did you get started with this organization, Joy? What are the things that led you to do this?
My husband and I were going to open some type of business associated with horses. We weren't really sure what we wanted to do, but it just kept coming up to us. We saw a television program about therapeutic riding, and we had friends and family who came up to us and asked us, had we thought about doing that? And after doing a lot of research and checking on what exactly it took to do that, we actually decided to open up a therapeutic riding center.
Okay. Now, you're located where?
Our home arena is located in Dexter, Kentucky, which is halfway between Benton and Murray. And we have a satellite program here in Paducah at Carson Park.
Have you and your husband grown up with horses?
My husband grew up with horses. I grew up loving them, but I didn't actually own a horse at all until I was a teenager.
Okay. Well, and one of the questions we always like to ask our guests, obviously you have horses.
Yes.
What other fur animals do you have at your farm?
We have chickens and cats and dogs. You can't just own one animal.
No. Oh, okay, and I'm sure that they all crave the same amount of attention.
Oh, yes.
How many horses do you have?
We have 10 horses that we use in the program. My husband and I have our own 4 that we ride recreationally, but the program actually has 10 that we use. Okay,
well, that's 14 horses. You got a bunch of critters on that farm, don't you?
We do.
It's hard to keep up with them, I'm sure.
Yes, it is.
Now, that's kind of, when did you start the program?
We started the program in 2005.
Okay. And how did it start? Did you advertise it for it? I mean, one of the questions we're going to be asking is, how did you find the horses? How did you train them? And so on. So I just want to go through that kind of those scenarios with you.
Okay. We, sorry.
Well, I was going to say, how did you find the horses first?
The horses, most of the horses were donated to us. We do have criteria that we have to go by in order for that horse to be accepted into our program. But we do have a couple of them that are on loan to us, but they have to be very, very calm, quiet, good disposition, things of that nature in order for us to accept them in the program. But the number one thing is for them to be sound. A lot of people think we are a retirement home for horses, and these horses, they put a lot of heart into what they do. They work very, very hard, so they really need to be sound horses.
Well, that's as you think about training, or we'll get into training a little bit later and what you have to do that. But I imagine it's very interesting to keep up with these. And do you add new horses all the time, or is this pretty much a standard group that you have, or?
We do add horses occasionally. We may have one that comes up that doesn't work well with the program anymore. Either they have a medical issue that that we can't utilize them in the program, or they have a health issue. But in order to do that, of course we have to feed and take care of these animals, so we do need to limit how many we have, but we can't overwork also.
Right.
So we have a set number that we use, and we just sometimes, if we need to trade out, we do.
Okay. And I believe you also have some horses that you keep here at Carson Park in Paducah?
Yes, we have 2 that we keep here through the summer.
Okay, just
through the operating season.
Right. Well, and we might just as well mention now, what is your operating season?
We start about the first week of March, and we operate until November.
Okay. Obviously, weather plays a big difference.
It does. We were out, matter of fact, we've been out for the last 3 weeks due to the heat, so yes, that's a factor.
Well, so, and who, with you and your husband on the farm, who looks after the horses up here at Carson Park?
We have someone who is over the barn here. We have a barn manager that takes care of the horses, and she does have volunteers that come in to relieve her on certain days. Our object really is to have volunteers that come in every day of the week that they're here, but it hasn't panned out that way yet.
Okay.
So she's actually in charge, and she does a big part of their daily care.
Okay. When did you start the program here in Paducah?
We started in April last year.
April last year,
yes.
So that's kind of a branching out, if you will.
Yes, it was.
With it. So, well, I'll tell you, we're just really getting started at this point, and we've got a lot more information to talk about, but we want to stop now and let our viewers hear a happy tale about one of your horses. This is Chico. And so you viewers, give a listen, because I think you're really going to enjoy this, and Joy will perhaps talk a little bit more about Chico when we get finished. So give a listen.
The horse's name is Chico. He was donated to the Therapy Horse program in 2005 and has been used in the program since they opened. Chico is a standard bred gelding. He's a male, 23 years old. Chico has the ability to detect seizures and let us know if his rider is about to have a seizure by slowing considerably or stopping altogether during a class. He's done this on several occasions and typically walks at a rather quick pace, so our volunteers are aware if he slows or stops and refuses to walk any further. They need to be checking on the rider if this happens. Chico has been a great asset to our program and a prime example of the qualities we look for in a therapy horse. When Chico isn't working, he likes to play with his favorite buddy Rusty. They pull on each other's halters, laying in the sun, or just eating grass. Chico likes horse treats and carrots, but he doesn't like apples very much.
Welcome back. We hope you enjoyed that tale about Chico, and he's one of the horses that's used. Brings up a couple of questions. How long have you had Chico, Joy?
We've had Chico since we opened in 2005.
Okay. And one other question, which I think our viewers will be interested in. Chico's a gelding, and we're going to hear a tale about Bob, who's also a gelding at that point. Do you find that a female horse or a male horse or geldings seem to be more suited for the kind of work that you do?
Mostly the geldings are. We do have several mares in the program, and they do okay, but they can sometimes be a little moody. So the geldings actually are more even-keeled.
Okay, all righty. Well, we'll talk about one of those others a little bit later. Now, let's talk a little bit about your instructors. How does a person become an instructor, and what are their primary responsibilities in your program?
Our instructors are certified through PATH International.
Okay.
It's an association, it's an international association that accredits centers and provides stringent training courses to certify instructors.
Okay.
They have rigorous standards that the centers go by for safety and well-being of the riders, the volunteers, and the horses. Okay. It takes about a year from start to finish for an instructor to be certified.
Okay. They have certain classes they have to do, I'm sure. And
yes, there's some online classes as well as a workshop certification process that they have to demonstrate their riding patterns and horse care knowledge, as well as develop a lesson plan for 2 special needs riders.
Okay. Now, and of course, how many instructors do you have at this point?
We currently have 2 certified instructors, and we have 1 instructor who's in training.
Okay.
We hope that she'll be certified this year so that we can add additional days here at Paducah.
Okay. Well, and you mentioned also, and when we talked, that you use volunteers. How do you utilize volunteers?
Most of our volunteers assist in classes. We do have volunteers that help with fundraising events or doing our newsletters or emails, things like that. But the majority of our volunteers assist in class as horse handlers or sidewalkers.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And of course, your organization, which we didn't mention earlier, is a 501c3.
Yes, we are.
And so you're always eager, if you will, for financial donations.
Absolutely.
And we'll talk about that a little bit more as we go, but a lot of people can give some help. Now, one of the most important things then, your clients, the people that come to you, what are the kinds of problems that they bring to you? What is the range of needs that they might have?
Most of our riders are special needs children and adults. It varies with their challenges, could be anything from ADHD, autism, cerebral palsy, brain injury, brain trauma, tumors, stroke, muscular dystrophy, Down syndrome. There's just about anything you could think of in special needs we deal with.
Okay. What are the major sources for the clients? In other words, where do you find the clients?
Mainly word of mouth, but we do get referrals from other agencies such as Four Rivers Behavioral, the Down Syndrome Association, Impact Plus, things like that.
Okay. And the activities that your clients engage in, can you kind of describe some of those? Obviously, they're riding the horses and how that helps them, but are there some other activities that they may participate in with the horses?
Just about anything you can imagine.
Okay.
I think the number one fun thing that they like, that the riders like to do, is basketball. They actually, in the process of shooting basketball, they're stretching and they're utilizing muscles, and we're talking hand-eye coordination and strength and balance. So there are a lot of things they work with just on playing a game.
That reminds me of, and some of our viewers may remember this, and you probably may be too, Joy, but the old donkey basketball that used to come to your local high school gymnasium.
Yes.
And they played basketball as they rode donkeys, and that was always a fun time, but this is obviously a little bit more than that.
Just a little more, yes.
Well, now with the clients that you have, about how long do they spend with you? Or I'm sure that depends upon what their condition is. And
correct. We take out about an hour. Some last that long, some can't last that long. It just depends on, but we set aside about an hour. Okay.
And about how many sessions might they average with you? And again, that depends on what their situation is.
Right. The classes last about an hour, 1 day a week, and we go in sessions. So a session consists of 8 weeks.
Okay. And so each 8 weeks, you may have a turnover.
We may have. We try not to, but especially here in Paducah, we've got a waiting list, and we're only here 1 day a week. So we try to allow everyone the opportunity. Okay.
Well, I'll tell you, I am just learning an awful lot about your program, and it just sounds absolutely fascinating. We want to stop for just a moment, though, and take a short break and listen to another happy tale. This is about Bob, whom I understand has some very interesting characteristics, so give a listen.
This is a happy tale about Bob. Bob was donated to the Therapy Horse program last spring and has adjusted to his new job remarkably well. Bob is a 13-year-old gelding quarter horse and one of the most gentle creatures at the Therapy Horse program. All the riders love him. He is very good-natured, easygoing, and strives to please. Bob has a unique personality and will usually do something odd or funny and just look at you as if he's asking, "Did you just see me do that?" He accepts any new toy we introduce to him without hesitation. He requires very little training prior to any new activity in the class ring. Bob likes splashing in the pond and trying to sneak into the barn. He usually entertains himself with anything he can find, and he likes horse treats, apples, and carrots.
Hi, and welcome back. We're visiting this afternoon with Joy Winebarger, who is Executive Director and Instructor for an organization that uses horses as therapy animals. Joy, we might just tell them quickly again what H.O.R.S.E stands for. It's a wonderful acronym.
It stands for Helping Others Reach Success Using Equine Services.
Oh, I don't know who came up with that, but that was extremely clever.
Thank you.
Well, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just said thank you.
Oh, okay. Are you going to take credit for that one?
I did take credit for it.
Okay, good, good. We've been talking so far about your program, what it's involved in. We've talked about some of your instructors and some of your volunteers. We have some pictures now, that we'd like to have you just take a look with us, Joy, and kind of tell us what's going on. These are pictures of actual sessions that are going on, aren't they?
Yes. That's one of our riders on there, and she's actually working on strength and balance and coordination. She has it's just a foam lance in her hand, and she was riding around using hand-eye coordination to actually get the ring onto the lance.
Okay.
I think she was fishing in that one, so we're talking about hand-eye coordination again. She had to actually get the little magnet onto the fish's nose to pull it out of the water. She's got the little fishing pole in her hand. Mm-hmm. There she is with the lance again. Okay. And all this time that she's riding, she's actually working on her balance, her core strength, and her coordination. Just by riding on the horse, she has to keep centered in on the horse's back.
Okay. We might just stop for a second and just mention what are the unique characteristics that a horse brings to the sessions, let's say, that you can't do in another type of therapy? What's unique about using a horse?
They're magnificent animals. They're majestic. Some of our riders who are in a wheelchair, for instance, they're constantly looking up at people. And mm-hmm. when they get on the back of a horse, it gives them the opportunity to be taller than someone else. Okay. For a change.
And looking down at someone.
Exactly. Okay. It just gives them a different perspective.
About how many clients have you serviced in your program so far?
Oh goodness, we currently have 44, so altogether I know it would be in excess of 100 so far. We do have some that have been with us for several years, and they just keep coming back because they've seen such good results.
It might even be that they might even begin to participate in your program after a while too.
Yes.
Now, speaking of the program then, let's tell our viewers at this point, how can they contact you and your organization by phone, by website, and Facebook now. I can't believe Facebook. How can they contact you and get more information?
They can contact us. Our phone number is 270-437-3881. They can visit our website. It's www.horsesinc.org, or they can email at horses_inc@yahoo.com.
Okay. And you mentioned a while ago that you were part of a national organization. Can you tell us just briefly about that organization and how they can be contacted for more information also?
Yes, they can contact PATH International. It's PATHINTL.com, or excuse me, .org, mm-hmm. and they certify instructors, they accredit centers, they have standards that we adhere to. for safety and things like that for the programs.
Okay. So being affiliated with a national organization, are there other organizations like yourself that are, say, in the area, or where are they mainly located in the country?
The closest ones in our area, there's one in Bowling Green, and there is a center in Puryear. Other than that, the bigger cities, Nashville has a program, Lexington, Louisville, they all have programs also.
Okay.
This Path International is just that. They have programs in other countries as well as the United States.
Okay. Now, you mentioned earlier that your volunteers help you with different kinds of events. What are some of the other events that you sponsor, say, that kind of annual things that you might do all year round that you kind of repeat, etc.? We don't want to date them necessarily, but just describe the events that you might have.
We have an expo that we have every year. It's our biggest fundraiser, and it consists of, this year we have a book fair in the expo. We have an art show, things like that. It also consists of our Boots and Bridles competition, which is a competition that our riders participate in. It's an obstacle course and it's judged. So this is a big event for them. It's a chance for them to show to their family and friends what they've been working on all year.
It's a little bit like the horse version of the Special Olympics.
Yes, yes. We also have a 5K coming up. So, just look for things like that we are involved in.
And you have all of that information for those on your website.
Yes.
And people can then also decide what ways they can volunteer, whether it's physically helping you with the horses, or maybe some of the special events, and or financial donations too. That's
absolutely
all absolutely always important. So,
yes.
Well, we're having such a good time looking at these things, Joy. What do you kind of see as the future of your program now? Where do you want the program to go from here?
Our program has grown from 2 riders, 2 horses, and 3 volunteers at one arena to 2 locations, 10 horses, and 44 riders, and over 100 volunteers. I can only see great things happening for Horses Inc. in the future. Some of our plans, our short term, are we would like to continue to add 1 or 2 other instructors. We would like to get at least 3 physical, occupational, or speech therapists on board to provide therapies at both locations. We would also, long-term, would be to acquire a facility where we actually operate all year round. Right now we're closing down from November to March for the cold, and we also are out about 4 weeks in July and August because of the heat. So we would like to have a facility that would allow us to continue operations year round.
Well, the program as you've described it just sounds like it's been so beneficial, and the fact that you're working with people with all kinds of disabilities with the horses and so on. Now, but back just for a minute for the volunteers, obviously they're helping with events. Now, when you say that they're helping with walking beside the horses and so on, kind of bring us a little bit about what they are actually doing there, so that people can decide if, hey, that might be something I'd like to do.
Our each rider can have up to 3 people assisting them in a class. Some require 3 and some require less than that. It just depends on the rider themselves. But the one horse leader, their only responsibility is taking care of the horse, to make sure that the horse is okay with everything that we're doing. He doesn't have any issues, and he's happy. The other 2 volunteers will be sidewalkers. Their responsibility is the rider, the safety of the rider, and to assist the rider with any games that we might be playing or any instructions from the instructor.
Where do you get the ideas for all these unusual activities that you're describing?
You have to be creative. We do have continuing education through PATH International, so we go to conferences and things like that where we share ideas from other centers. But it just, about anything you could use, educational games or toys, we can use in the program. Anything from a ball to electronic games and toys, cornhole, we do that. So just about anything. Fun noodles, you can imagine the things that we can do with just fun noodles and diving rings.
Can you maybe pick out one or two of stories of where you found with your clients the ones that were most successful, that you really feel like you just hit the mark with you, hit a home run?
I can think of several, but I'll try to narrow it down.
Okay.
We do have one rider here in Paducah that he had a brain tumor and had to have chemotherapy and radiation, and I'm thinking he was around 6 or 7 years old, and that radiation and chemo caused his legs to be very, very weak. He didn't have strength in his legs, so therefore he would not get down in the floor to play because he couldn't get back up. So he came to ride with us, and it was within about 6 months. His mom just came to class one day and she was ecstatic, and she said, "I've got a picture I've got to show you." And her little boy, not only did he get down on the floor to play by himself, but he was able to get back up, and he has ever since.
Oh.
So that is just one of the many stories that I could relay.
Yeah. Well, do you have another one that might stand out also?
I do. I have. We had a little girl with cerebral palsy who came to us at 6 years old, and she walked with a limp. She could not run at all. She drug her foot. And one of the goals that her mom had for her was for her to be able to run. And she rode with us for about 1.5 or 2 years before she got her own pony. But at the end of the time that she rode with us, before she graduated herself from our program, she was running up and down our mounting ramp.
Oh, it's just amazing. And with
is.
the little boy that you were talking about, how long has it been since he was in the program?
He's still in the program.
Oh, he's still in the program.
Yes.
Okay, but making great progress on it.
Yes, he is.
Unfortunately, we're beginning to run short on time, Joy, and this has just been a fascinating visit with you this afternoon, and to find out about what a wonderful organization that you're doing. And as we get ready to close, what two things would you like to have our viewers remember about our program today?
First of all, I think a lot of people are afraid of horses, and one of the points I would like to make is not to be afraid of them, just respect them. They are magnificent animals, and they have personalities just like people do. So I think if you just approach them with an open mind and be respectful of them and love them, I think you'll be all right.
Okay.
The other point would be, I think just like the horses that it takes to run this program, we need lots of people too. It takes a lot of people. So I think just if you can volunteer, if you can afford to take that time, 1 hour, 1 day a week, if you can't volunteer or don't wish to volunteer in class, there are many other opportunities to help as well.
The idea is that they're only limited by their creativity and willingness to help.
That's right.
Okay. Well, Joy, it's been such a pleasure this afternoon. Joy Winebarger has been our guest from H.O.R.S.E, Inc., a therapeutic school or program, if you will, that uses horses. And this has just been a very interesting time. I've learned an awful lot today, and I know our viewers have too. So in closing, unfortunately, we have to end for today, but I'm Greg Bauer, and as Darlene and I would have always told you and remind you, give your pet a little extra love today and every day. See you next time.